I have a confession to make. My name is Zach Harris, and I am a thief. At least at one point in my life I was. See, when I was 8 years old, attending Oak Hill Elementary School in lovely Franklin, Tennessee, I happened to be back in my cubbyhole one day. I was going to grab a spare Capri Sun, and it just so happened that in the cubby next to mine was a Beanie Baby. Not just any Beanie Baby, but a teeny Beanie Baby, Goldie. I stole Goldie from another 8-year-old. I'm not proud of it. If I knew who this young man was today, I would surely return it to him. But it just goes to show, at the time, whether you were 8 years old or 48 years old, Beaniemania was running wild, and I was just as obsessed with these guys as these guys were. You know, if you weren't alive at the time to truly appreciate how hysterical the Beanie Baby craze was in the 90s, or if you're just too young to remember, you have to go all the way back to where it started to understand how it came to reach the heights that it achieved at the peak of its popularity. It all started in 1986 when Ty Warner founded Ty Inc. 5 years later, in 1993, the Beanie Babies were introduced to the world for the very first time in New York City's World Toy Fair. And things started off small at first, because originally there were only 9 Beanie Babies. The unique individual elements of each beanie definitely added to the collectability factor. Each one had their own birthday, a unique poem found inside of their tag, but initially, sales were sluggish. Some retailers refused to buy the Beanie Babies at all. Others were interested in the Beanie Babies, but not all of them were willing to buy them in the bundle deals that Ty was offering at the time. That was until the marketing strategy of artificial scarcity was introduced around 1995. And boy, was that a strategy that paid off. You see, Ty started to limit the amount of beanies that an individual store could purchase to only 36 of each beanie per month. That means if the Hallmark store got 36 Baldy the Eagles on February 1st, and you didn't get there until February 2nd, and all 36 were sold out, it was going to be another month before you were able to acquire another one from that particular location. But that's not the only way that scarcity was utilized, because in late 1995, Ty had to cease production of Lovey the Lamb due to an issue with their supplier in China. But as the story goes, Ty just used this as an opportunity to build more on the scarcity tactic that already seemed to be working. He advised retailers that Lovey was no longer being produced because he was going to retire Lovey the Lamb. And he further suggested that other Beanie Babies could be next to be retired as well. Now, the rationale behind this is retiring one Beanie Baby clears up room for a new Beanie Baby to be introduced, which of course means that people will have a sense of urgency when it comes to obtaining that new Beanie Baby before it too becomes permanently unavailable and retired. This speculation of the future value of these to-be-discontinued beanies drove a lot of consumers to make massive bulk purchases and resell them at many multiples of the initial retail price. Speculation at its finest. But the brick-and-mortar stores weren't where Ty's success ended. No, that was just where they began. Because in '95, Ty pioneered the idea of the very first business-to-consumer website. Because you see, inside of each beanie's tag, underneath the birthday, there is a call to action. Visit our webpage, www.ty.com. This, coinciding with the launch of eBay in September of '95, led to exponential growth that was far exceeding the brick-and-mortar stores where I purchased my initial Beanie Baby collection as a young lad in his first decade on this planet. And I actually found in my research to do this video that at one point, Beanie Babies made up about 10% of all eBay sales, if you can even believe that. And then, of course, moving on to 1996, that's the time I remember super well because these were released. Teeny Beanies. They were sold as the toy inside of McDonald's Happy Meals. But they say nothing lasts forever, and by 1999, there were exciting new trends on the horizon and seemed like the interest of kids was beginning to just naturally wane a little bit. That was the case for me, at least. So what did Ty Warner do? He decided to throw a Hail Mary. Somewhere around mid-1999, the company announced that they would no longer be producing any Beanie Babies ever again as of the new millennium, and they released a bear named The End in December of 1999. The only problem with that is that it wasn't the end, because after this announcement, Ty asked the public to vote. Should the Beanie Babies product line actually continue? Purportedly, this poll was met with an overwhelming yes, which led to production restarting in 2000, alongside the release of yet another bear named, you guessed it, The Beginning. But this second coming was not destined to be nearly as fruitful as the first. People got mad. People felt like they'd been cheated, lied to, bamboozled, swindled. The Beanie Baby stock market truly began to crash. People were cashing in their beanies hand over fist, selling full collections off that had been acquired over several years all in one shot just because they wanted to wash their hands of the thing. They felt like that they had been worked, manipulated, and they weren't happy about that. So while this didn't spell the end for Beanie Babies entirely, it certainly did mark the end of an era in terms of the Beanie Babies being the number one pop culture icon that they certainly were for a brief period of time in the mid to late 90s. But credit where credit's due, they have managed to stand the test of time. As of this video recording in July of 2024, they're still being produced to this day, and at times they've even contributed to a good cause. Katie the Koala was released in January of 2020. 100% of the profits went to Australia's Wildlife Information Rescue and Education Service Incorporated. That's a mouthful. There was a bear named Hope released in April of 2020. 100% of those profits went to the United Way Worldwide COVID-19 Fund. In March of 22, all profits from all Beanie Baby sales were donated to Save the Children, which provided emergency assistance to children in Ukraine. And most recently, profits from a Beanie Baby named Max are set to be donated to Next for autism. So what can we learn from the story of Beanie Babies? I would argue that they taught us the same lesson that history's taught us many times in the centuries before the Beanie Babies ever were even a thought in Ty Warner's mind. And that is that humans will be humans. Humans will be susceptible to acting irrational whenever they're presented with a hot new trend that presents itself to be a rare, unique opportunity that only a select few can get in on while the getting's good. So you better act now and don't wait, because the fear of missing out will drive human beings to do some incredibly selfish, impulsive, and even downright mean things to each other. And as I have learned, it can even drive an 8-year-old to steal from another 8-year-old. And to that I say, if you were in the class of 1998 at Oak Hill Elementary in Franklin, Tennessee, and you're missing Goldie, and you're watching this video, hit me up. Be happy to return him home to you. And I apologize for my selfish, impulsive, mean 8-year-old self. But you know, it's not all negative. Beanie Babies were also something that drew people together. I still remember, being a little kid and going to the Hallmark store with my mom, with my grandma, with my grandpa who's no longer with us, going through the drive-thru, getting the Happy Meals. I think if you can learn to enjoy things for what they are, a fun hobby that you can use to build some memories together while building up your collection, I think Beanie Babies are a great thing. That's why both my collection and my wife's childhood collection have joined forces and are proudly displayed behind me today. In my book, when it comes to the history of the Beanie Babies and their legacy, the pros far outweigh the cons. Hey guys, thank you for watching so much. If you haven't already, please give the video a like, please subscribe and stick around, and feel free to check out this video that YouTube apparently thinks you need to be watching right now. Thanks again guys, until next time, take care.